Welcome to episode 13 in the Accident Theory series. Previously, we learned about domino models from Heinrich, Bird, Adams, and Reason. Heinrich's 1931 model emphasizes unsafe acts stemming from personal faults tied to ancestry and social environment. Bird expanded the model by attributing incidents to management's failure to control risks, including property damage, as a critical component. Adams refined this further, identifying management structure and decisions as root causes, assigning shared responsibility across all organizational levels. Finally, Reason's Swiss cheese model highlights how accidents result from a combination of active errors and latent conditions. In today's episode, we will look at tree and step modeling. Specifically, we will look at sequentially timed events plotting, as well as consequence trees. Model trees build upon domino models by introducing multiple causal contributors while maintaining the core cause and effect logic. Unlike the linear progression of domino models, trees provide a more detailed and multidimensional framework for analyzing incidents by branching out to include various contributing factors. This approach allows for a deeper examination of the complexities specific to a particular incident, rather than treating all incidents as similar or uniform. Accident trees are especially useful because they focus on the exact circumstances of an event, keeping the analysis relevant and precise. By narrowing their scope to the factors directly linked to the incident, these models avoid overwhelming the investigation with unnecessary details and instead emphasize the causes that had a direct impact. This clarity makes it easier to understand how different factors interact and to identify practical steps for prevention and risk mitigation. In 1975, Ludwig Benner introduced multilinear event sequencing, a method that offered a broader and more dynamic perspective on accident causation by charting prior events and showing how the actions and effects of various participants were interconnected. Benner used the analogy of a musical score, comparing individuals involved in an event to instruments, each contributing their actions or inactions to the unfolding scenario. This analogy highlighted how accidents could be seen as complex compositions, beginning with an initial disturbance, a perturbation, and culminating in an accident shaped by the intertwined actions of multiple participants. Benner identified 4 key limitations of traditional domino models: the lack of a clear start and end point for accidents, the absence of a sequential timeline for events, the need for a structured method to identify relevant factors, and the lack of a charting system to represent events and conditions. His model showed how a disturbance could either escalate into an accident or be effectively managed at various decision points, depending on the actions taken or not taken. The inclusion of branches and loops in Benner's model reflected the iterative and dynamic nature of these events, offering a more detailed and interactive approach to understanding accident causation. While primarily descriptive, Benner's model framed accidents as evolving narratives with events interacting dynamically over time. This innovative approach laid the foundation for the sequentially timed events plotting, or STEP method, which further emphasized analyzing accidents through their temporal and interactive sequences. The sequentially timed events plotting, STEP, technique introduced by Hendrick and Benner in 1987 reconstructs the process leading to harm by mapping the sequence of events and actions that contributed to the accident. STEP is based on 3 main concepts: the initiation of the accident, triggered by an event or change that disrupts the technical system, the agents responsible for interacting with and controlling the system, such as humans, automatic controllers, equipment, and monitoring systems, and the elementary event building blocks that represent specific actions or occurrences. STEP worksheets visually illustrate the progression of events and actions along the horizontal axis, while the agents responsible for these actions are represented on the vertical axis. This structured approach helps clarify how events unfolded, how interventions were carried out, and how the system responded at each stage. In our step diagram shown on the screen, we can see that Actor 1 is associated with 3 sequential events, while Actor 2 is influencing the second event that was performed by Actor 1. The first stage of STEP involves defining the boundaries of the analysis by identifying the beginning and end states of the accident. The starting point is the first deviation from the planned technical process, and the end point is the final harmful event. Analysts then identify the primary events and actions contributing to the incident, creating event building blocks that capture key information such as the start time of the event or action, the duration of the event or action, the agent responsible for the event or action, a description of the event or action, and finally, the source of information used to document the event. In the second stage, the events and actions are connected using arrows to represent relationships. Each event has incoming and outgoing arrows to indicate precede and follow connections. Converging arrows show dependencies between events, while divergent arrows illustrate the event's impact on subsequent actions. To validate the accuracy of the event sequence, analysts use the back step method, reasoning backward to verify how each building block could have occurred. This process also helps identify alternative pathways the accident could have taken, guiding further data collection and analysis. Preventative measures are derived by identifying causal links that could be disrupted or missing links that could enable prevention. STEP provides a clear overview of the timing and sequence of events leading to the incident, making it especially useful for creating and investigating accident narratives. However, STEP diagrams only document the immediate causal pathway, starting from the initial perturbation, and do not include normal or precursor conditions that existed before the accident. They also exclude potential alternative causes or irrelevant details, ensuring the analysis remains focused on the actual failure mode. Each actor in the analysis is assigned a horizontal band, simplifying the visualization of their actions and contributions to the sequence. Consequence trees, like STEP, provide a structured framework for analyzing accidents by incorporating multiple actors, events, and conditions into a logical timeline or process flow. However, unlike STEP, consequence trees offer the flexibility to document not only abnormal aspects of an incident, but also typical or routine elements, as well as potential causal factors that were investigated and ultimately ruled out. This broader scope allows for a more comprehensive understanding of the incident. During an investigation, you may encounter various pieces of evidence or hypotheses that do not directly contribute to the causal pathway. Claims from injured individuals, witnesses, or managers should always be verified, and it can be helpful to record non-causal factors on the tree. Including these ruled-out factors demonstrates that they were considered, which strengthens the credibility and thoroughness of the analysis. Additionally, examining alternative pathways to the same outcome, specifically those that did not cause the specific incident, but could lead to similar accidents in the future, can provide valuable insights. Addressing these alternative scenarios allows for preventive measures that not only reduce the risk of recurrence, but also mitigate potential risks from other pathways. This proactive approach broadens the scope of accident prevention. A consequence tree is constructed using the information gathered by an investigator, but it may also reflect any biases present in the investigation process. In 2020, Woodcock provided an example of 3 different consequence trees, which analyzed the facts and questions raised in media reports about the 1997 fatal car crash of Diana, Princess of Wales. On August 31, 1997, Princess Diana was fatally injured in a car crash in the Lalma Tunnel in Paris, along with her companion, Dodi Fayed, and their driver, Henri Paul. The crash occurred as their car was attempting to evade paparazzi photographers who were pursuing them on motorbikes. Their Mercedes-Benz was traveling at a high speed when it struck a pillar in the tunnel, resulting in a catastrophic accident. Diana was rushed to the hospital but succumbed to her injuries a few hours later, while the driver and Dodi Fayed were pronounced dead at the scene. The only survivor of the crash was Trevor Rees-Jones, Diana's bodyguard, who sustained serious injuries. The consequence tree is structured with the outcome, the death of the Princess of Wales, positioned on the left side. Events leading up to this outcome are organized sequentially. These include the treatment she received at the scene, which followed customary local practices, and the rupture of her left pulmonary vein. This rupture was caused by the impact of her chest against the front seat's headrest during the crash. The vehicle was equipped with headrests, but the princess, seated in the back for a short journey, was not wearing a seatbelt. As a result, her body was thrown forward within the car upon impact. The crash occurred when the driver lost control of the vehicle, causing it to collide with a pillar in the Lalma Tunnel. The next consequence tree is structured with the event driver loses control positioned on the left side, and the preceding contributing factors arranged sequentially. These factors include the driver driving while intoxicated, being unqualified to operate the vehicle, driving at an unsafe speed, and conspiracy theories surrounding the crash. The inclusion of conspiracy theories as a precursor reflects the global fame of the Princess of Wales, whose high-profile status led to significant public scrutiny and speculation about the circumstances surrounding the incident. The factor driving too fast is linked to the relentless pursuit by paparazzi, whose aggressive behavior created intense pressure on the driver to evade them, contributing to the excessive speed. The driver being unqualified to operate the specific vehicle was identified as another contributing factor, which may have stemmed from a decoy plan designed to evade the persistent paparazzi presence. This plan involved last-minute adjustments to the travel arrangements, potentially leading to the selection of an underqualified driver. Driving while intoxicated was also identified as a critical precursor in media reports, with suggestions that the driver's impairment was not apparent or intercepted before the journey began. This intoxication may have been exacerbated by the fact that the driver, reportedly struggling with alcoholism, was recalled to work on short notice as part of the decoy plan. The combination of these factors, impaired judgment, inexperience with the vehicle, excessive speed, and external pressures from paparazzi, culminated in the driver losing control, leading to the tragic crash. Each of these contributing events, as outlined in the tree, provides a structured understanding of the various interrelated elements that preceded the incident. The consequence tree is organized with the event driver loses control placed on the left side, while preceding events highlight the contributing factors that escalated the situation. Among these are stress conditions that impaired the driver's ability to apply knowledge-based or rule-based behaviors, caused by a combination of high mental workload and the car behaving contrary to expectations. The heightened mental workload likely resulted from multiple stressors: the limousine's excessive speed, blinding camera flashes from paparazzi photographers, the darkness of the tunnel, and a possible collision with a white Fiat Uno. The limousine entered the dark tunnel because motorcycles, likely carrying paparazzi, may have forced it in their pursuit of photographs. The camera flashes came from the paparazzi, whose relentless pursuit created visual distractions and stress for the driver. The vehicle was speeding in an effort to evade the pursuing paparazzi, further increasing the difficulty of controlling the car. Handling challenges arose because the vehicle's onboard computer lacked technology for tactile resistance feedback, and its steering feedback at high speeds was markedly different from that of standard vehicles. Additionally, the vehicle was armored and significantly heavier due to its design to protect VIPs, making it less responsive than a standard car. Compounding these mechanical challenges was the driver's lack of experience with the specific limousine model. The regular driver was unavailable because he had been sent as part of a decoy plan to mislead the paparazzi, leaving the security chief of the Ritz Hotel, who was off duty at the time, to take the wheel. This last-minute arrangement placed an unqualified driver in a high-pressure situation. The limousine, a Mercedes owned by the Ritz Hotel, was chosen for its perceived VIP-level security, as it was armored to withstand potential attacks, a feature that further impacted its handling. This detailed analysis reveals how a range of human factors and mechanical limitations, often overlooked in public discourse, could have significantly contributed to the accident. By examining these elements, the investigation can uncover solutions to address such risks in the future, moving beyond superficial explanations that focus on factors perceived as unsolvable. This approach highlights the importance of considering all relevant variables to gain a deeper and more actionable understanding of the event. In episode 13, we learned about how tree-based accident analysis methods expand on traditional domino models by capturing multiple interacting causes rather than a single linear chain. We were introduced to sequentially timed events plotting STEP and how it provides a structured way to map what happened, verify sequences, and identify points for prevention, while deliberately focusing on the immediate causal pathway. We then ended the episode with consequence trees, which offer a broader and more flexible approach by including routine conditions, ruled-out factors, and alternative pathways, strengthening investigative credibility and supporting more comprehensive and proactive accident prevention. Trees expand on traditional domino models by incorporating multiple causal contributors while maintaining cause and effect logic. Accident trees focus on the exact circumstances of an event, keeping analyses relevant and precise. In 1975, Ludwig Benner introduced multilinear events sequencing to describe accidents as interconnected event sequences. Benner framed accidents as complex compositions that begin with an initial disturbance and evolve toward an outcome. Benner identified key limitations of domino models, including unclear boundaries, lack of timelines, weak factor identification, and no charting method. Sequentially timed events plotting, STEP, was formally introduced in 1987 by James Hendrick and Ludwig Benner. STEP reconstructs accidents by mapping the sequence of events and actions leading to harm. The STEP method is based on three concepts: accident initiation, system controlling agents, and event building blocks. Agents may include humans, equipment, automatic controllers, and monitoring systems. STEP provides a clear narrative of timing and sequence, making it useful for accident storytelling and analysis. Consequence trees also provide a structured framework for accident analysis. COHSI provides its students with a multiple-choice quiz at the end of each episode, which can be used as practice material for the content that has been covered. A free version of the quiz can be accessed by anyone following our content on social media by using the QR code shown on the screen. If you are a COHSI student, please complete the discussion board topics found throughout this unit, as well as the episode quiz. Both of these tasks can be found under their appropriate tabs in your learning portal. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to your course instructor. Thank you for watching and have a safe day.